people all over the world, but also as a queer and a gender non-conforming person. I stand with the people at Standing Rock, and I stand with the indigenous people all over the world, because our struggles aren't just connected because we are displaced people. Our struggles are also connected because by existing as queer and trans people, we're fighting state violence every day. By existing as queer and trans people, we're resisting colonialism, and we're being what the colonizers tried to be out of us, and we're being and continuing to live in the ways that have been attempted to be wiped out day after day, century after century. So I want to say Black solidarity with Standing Rock, but also queer and trans solidarity with Standing Rock. Kelly spoke so beautifully to the differences in state violence that Black and indigenous people face. When Black people are killed by the police, we can't avoid seeing it. It's shoved down our throats, it's put in our faces. They make sure that we see it, because as Black people, seeing our lynchings, we're supposed to be shamed, and we're supposed to be afraid, and we're supposed to be intimidated. But Native people, we never see their lynchings, even though they're happening at a higher proportional rate. And that's because, as Kelly teaches us, it's about erasing Native stories, erasing Native communities, and making sure that they cease to exist. Because the only way that this empire can claim the land that it's on is if the people who it actually belongs to are no longer here. And they want us to believe that Native people are no longer here, and that's why every time a Native person is taken from us, we don't have it shoved down our throats. We don't see the video over and over and over and over again, because the opposite point is being made. Instead of fear and intimidation, the point is erasure. And we can't let that continue to happen. So in the same way that Black people are tired of having murders of our young people, murders in our community, used to intimidate and scare us, we're also tired of the murders of indigenous people being used to erase them and being used to make them disappear. Native people are not going anywhere. Black people are not going anywhere. Queer and trans people are not going anywhere. And we need to stand strong with each other and not let our voices and not let our deaths be lost. And going off of that, the last thing I want to say is, as Kelly already put it beautifully, perfectly, all state violence is connected, and I want to underline that and say all abolition is connected. So when we say abolish the police, let's say it together: abolish the police.
Abolish the police.
Police abolition is environmental justice. Prison abolition is environmental justice. And Standing Rock, indigenous people in this country are underlining that for us. They're proving that for us right now. We see the National Guard is being called into Standing Rock, not to protect families, not to protect communities, not to protect treaties, but to protect private property and to protect a structure that we know is going to harm the natural environment for all of us, not just for Native people. That's what police are here to protect. That's what the military is here to protect. So when we say police abolition, when we talk about ending the police and prison system permanently, we're talking about taking those resources back and putting them towards clean water. We're talking about taking those resources back and putting them towards green space in all of our communities. We're talking about community gardens. We're talking about returning Native lands to the indigenous people that they've been stolen from. The resources are there, they're just in the hands of people that they don't belong to. So when we say abolition, we're talking about returning the resources to where they belong, which includes indigenous land, includes Black and brown labor, and includes all the things that our communities need to survive, like clean water, like green space, like healthy food. So when we say police abolition, when we talk about ending the police system, we are talking about environmental justice. So we should remember that solidarity doesn't mean we have to travel. We're all on indigenous land. We're all standing on Native land, no matter where we are. So what I would urge us to think about in terms of solidarity is not necessarily that we need to go somewhere else. I commend and applaud people who are able to make it to North Dakota, but for those of us who can't, we have the exact same work that we need to do here in Chicago. And police abolition is just as big a part of that work as fighting for clean water is, as demanding that these huge corporations pay their taxes and return that money to schools and to Black and brown neighborhoods in this city. So let's remember that we need to fight for environmental justice in Chicago, because when we are in Chicago, we are still on indigenous land. So remember that solidarity doesn't mean going somewhere else. Solidarity means remembering where you are right now. So thank you all so much, and power to all my Native and indigenous brothers and sisters, power to all my queer and trans brothers and sisters, Black power stands with Native power. Thank you.
So we're